You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 24th meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right, good evening, everybody. I guess it's still afternoon. I'd like to call the Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 to order. Roll call, Chris Yagelski.
Present.
Linda.
Present.
Don
Babcock, yes.
Tim Warner, present. We have a quorum.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Or interim president?
Yes.
I'd like to suspend the normal business at this portion and I'd like to introduce not only our board members, but I'd like to reiterate positions. So I'd like to have a present vote on new positions for the board.
Thank you.
Elections.
That's the motion.
Yeah, you're talking about election.
Motion for
Election,
election,
correct.
yes.
Election.
Motion for election, yes.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Well, I have to make an announcement that because we have new members here at the table, we had some resigned members. Holt Ettinger and Tim Smith have both resigned. Holt effective the 3rd of April and Tim Smith just on the 23rd. So Holt was our secretary, Tim was the president. So we have new board members here that have started. And first off, as we said, if you will introduce yourself to everyone out here, please, Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Simmons, Director of Marketing for the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau. I've served on the Sanitary District many years ago, and I'm looking forward to working with the team and continue to raising the bar and just have big expectations, so looking forward to working with everyone.
All right. And Don?
Don Babcock, Director of Economic Development and Community Relations at Purdue Northwest. I was honored to be on the Redevelopment Commission for several years, and also I'm active on the Michigan City the Economic Development Corporation of Michigan City. Glad to be here.
Good, welcome. And I do want to express my appreciation for both Holt and Tim Smith. They were on the board here for quite a while, helping to move the sanitary district forward. So thank you, Tim and Holt, for your service, and we appreciate it very much. Chris, do you want to say anything since you worked with them as well? Give you a chance to say good riddance, you guys?
I do. I leaned on both of them tremendously.
Yeah.
I've only been here for about a year and almost 2 years in this position, so they leaned on them both for viable information to help me get through this and make it to this step.
Yeah.
So, and I welcome the new board members.
Yes, indeed, yes, welcome. All right, well, the next thing we need to do is get new officers for the board. So are there any nominations for president of the board?
I would like to nominate Linda Simmons as president.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Linda, are you willing to?
Yes, I am.
All right. Any others? Hearing none, we'll take a vote on Linda. All those in favor of Linda as president, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Welcome. And I'll hand you the gavel.
The virtual again.
Yeah, the virtual gavel. So we need a vice president.
I would like to nominate Don Babcock as vice president.
I will second that. Don, are you willing to accept the nomination?
Sure, thank you.
All right.
Honored.
So call the vote.
Call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And now secretary, I think we could have Rachel just continue on as secretary.
I think we
correct?
should vote to appoint her to the board secretary.
Correct.
Okay. So I motion that we have Rachel continue as our secretary.
I second. All in favor?
Aye. There you
You'll
go.
get used to that.
Yes, there you go. All right, the agenda's yours.
Okay. All right, so
Item 4.
I thought you were going to take care of everything.
If you would like me to, I will.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't we let you go ahead and finish up
Okay.
since you're here.
All right, item 4 on our agenda, approval of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes of the regular board meeting on Wednesday, March 28th, the executive session from Wednesday, April 10th, and the special board meeting of Monday, April 10th? Any questions, any comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve these 3 minutes?
I so moved. I make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes pass. Thank you very much. All right, next item on our agenda, public comment. Is there any public comment? Public comment. Please introduce yourself and,
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Don Prispolinski, City Councilman at Large, President of Michigan City City Council. And I'm here this afternoon, as I was a couple months back. One of the things I thought that was important is identification of all city vehicles being used by the city. And I had mentioned that to Mr. Miladovich, and I know that he assigned Mr. Sanford to take that on, so I'm just here today to see where we stand with that project.
I believe they're all labeled marked.
We have one or two vehicles still in the service shops that we don't have access to, but everything else is labeled up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you very much on taking that serious and getting that done. That way the public knows, and if the public has a emergency somewhere, they can run to those vehicles and know that our city employees will help them. The other thing that I'd like to know is, in the lot that's just east of here, the fenced-in lot, there's a number of vehicles that are parked in that lot. I don't know if they're scrap vehicles, if they're even being used anymore, if Central Services should know about them, Daryl Garbacek, to get them in the city inventory. And if these vehicles are not being used anymore, that possibly they be traded off, and we can get the scrap value for them or get trade-in value for them. Or maybe there's parts on those vehicles that can be used on other city vehicles somewhere. So yeah, and just to give you a heads up of what's back there, I know that there's one 2020 Ford Fusion that has 2020 plates, so that tells me that vehicle hasn't been used for going on 4 years now. There's a blue Ford Escape. There's a Chevy Blazer. There's two Chevy Blazers, one gray and one tan or bronze, whatever you want to call it. There's a Ford dump truck sitting back there that looks like it hasn't been used for a long, long time. And there's a Ford box van, number 34, that's sitting back there, hasn't been used for a long time. And a Ford cargo van, number 33, that's been sitting back there, that hasn't been used for a long time. And there's two semi-dump trailers that are sitting back there. They look like they haven't been used for a long time. And in fact, just from where I was standing at, I could tell that some of the tires on the back of the trailer were thread worn. You could see the tread going through the tires. So those have probably been sitting back there for a long time. So if we're not going to use them, then let's get rid of them, make some money off of them. And if we can use them, let's get them fixed up. Maybe they can use them in a different department. Not necessarily here, because there's always departments that are using for looking for vehicles to use. So appreciate if the district investigates that and have a report ready for the next meeting to report back on that to the board and to the city council. Thank you.
thank you. Mike, will you please get us a report on all the vehicles out there, their status?
I will. I
Next
believe
week.
our fleet manager has been working on that, and I will get with him and we will prepare such a list.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Rex, since you jumped up first, before Rex got his hand up.
Go ahead. No. I was here about a year ago. And
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm sorry, Rex Bailey from Michigan City Animal Hospital veterinarian. I was here about a year ago, and I was assured that the Sentinel Alarm building next to us, I purchased and repaired and fixed, and so it wouldn't look like a mess. And I was assured that I would get sewer to that. That building hasn't had sewer in over 20 years. They actually had a septic tank, which has been condemned, so the building can't be used until we get sewer there. There's 4 houses on Carroll and also the pawn shop that also don't have a sewer system. And when I was here last year, I was assured that that would be done. Haas Engineering came out and engineered the property behind us this last year for a pump and grinder system. And I was assured the money was set aside for that project. And then when I called this year, they say, well, we're not sure where the money's coming from. That was earmarked for that project is no longer available. And so previous owners have also tried to get sewer there. There's sewer everywhere around it except for that corner. And I have a pumping grinder system that I've repaired pumps on twice. And now I need to repair the electric places. It would be nice to be able to tie into the city sewer and not have to replace my whole pump and grinder system again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was under the impression, I think the board, that was being worked on, right, Chris? I mean, that we directed that. So, Mike, Steve, can you give us an update on what's happening with the sewer there for that area?
Well, that project remains in design. I think we're very close to having a complete design on it.
Yes.
And as I explained, Dr. Bailey, we've had some changes in the city recently that we're trying to get settled through here. So we want to get this taken care of because frankly, it's an embarrassment having an unsewered
Island.
part of it, island in the middle of the city.
Any idea of timing to get this moving forward, Steve?
We're going to do the best we can, Commissioner.
What, can it be bid this year?
I don't see why it can't be.
Okay, let's try to work on that, make sure it does.
Yes, we'll follow up with Haas and Associates, I believe, working on that project.
Thank you.
For us.
Thank you. Mike, you're on.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Bergerson on behalf of Lakeshore Sewer LLC. Welcome to our new board members. I've known you well and worked with you well in other projects and other boards. What brings me here today on behalf of my client, Lakeshore Sewer, is a long-standing project involving 5 homeowners in the town of Long Beach who have offered and have had plans initially approved by this board, approved by the city council, and also approved by Indiana Department of Environmental Management to connect to the city sewer system located, whether it be along Lakeshore Drive at some point or along Chastleton Drive near the Hacienda. After the permit was approved by IDEM to allow us a 1-year construction period to get connected, which my clients, of course, were paying 100% on their own, a couple $100,000 for sure. The district withdrew their consent, confirmation, and certification that they had the capacity to take this effluent from these 5 homes, 4 of which are really only partially utilized. One is a full-time resident, which has gotten us to this point when at this point, we've got a permit application pending since February. No action taken on that permit application. I appeared at your last meeting, asking again to have be on the docket each month until this matter is solved or resolved one way or another. Whether our application is approved, great. If it's not, we have other, we'll just move on in other avenues. We just have to have some solution to this one way or another. I've got a client who is on a pump and dump type of operation, for lack of a better word. They have to have private septic haulers come whenever there is a need to take their effluent from the tank that's a holding tank. And that's not a long-term solution. The long-term solution, of course, an environmentally safe solution, is connecting to the sewers. The point today, and one of the things that we had addressed last month, was the inspection of a manhole along Highway 12 that may have taken place with Jim Maurer, but I was not aware of it, nor I don't think my client was. We'll have to talk to Jim Maurer and find out what his findings may have been. I got contacted by Mr. Sanford today. I just didn't have time today either to get another civil engineer available to do that inspection. Try to do that as fast as we can to satisfy ourselves as to the reasons why the district is now claiming that they don't have the capacity any longer to take these 5 homes, 4 of which are partially utilized. I mean, it really stretches the imagination to think that these 5 homes, 4 of which are partially utilized, would create such a problem that would put the district in some type of overflow jeopardy. The other thing would be, I'm sure that there are other connections that have been approved since either our application has been pending or brought before the council, and wonder why there would be some distinction between other applications that may have been approved and have connected and ours that have not. But in any event, we need to address it in good faith, get it done in good faith. We're willing to work with the district, willing to pay our fair share. We've reiterated that time and time again. What we need is our application reviewed, approved or denied, so that we can move on one way or another. Thank you.
May I speak to that one particular item about the inspection of the manhole? It was my understanding at our last conversation that Mr. Maurer was sort of the liaison or communicator. And that's why I reached out to Mr. Maurer, made him aware of the fact that we wanted to go and look at that manhole. And the thinking was that he would then contact.
Yeah, we haven't heard from him. I'm assuming it did happen.
It did happen.
And so we just haven't gotten any information or feedback from him.
Okay.
With respect to that.
To be clear, Mr. Bauer is your client's engineer. He's not the district's engineer. Right. So
not to put anyone on the spot, but if you give me a name and a number of whom you want us to contact, I'll be happy to do that. We can continue the evaluation on the manhole that was discussed.
Okay. Will do. And just to clarify, the board did not give, you said in your earlier statement, the board did not give permission or authorization.
the board did not approve anything.
Yeah, we did not approve.
No.
You said your initial statement, you said the board approved, this board approved.
Well, the district approved.
A member of the district, but this board did not approve.
The district approved and certified to not only the city council, they certified to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. I mean, the language of the certification is clear and it's unambiguous, unequivocal, that you had the capacity to take these 5 homes. And it's embarrassing, honestly, to have the district then withdraw that certification and the item said you can't do it.
No, that's not true.
I just want to be clear that the board did not approve
The board
this.
did not do that.
Okay,
That's right.
That's what I want to be clear on that portion.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, as the board, well, not the new board members. There was an error made by one of the staff who signed off on that certification that there was capacity. There's not capacity. I then was notified that there wasn't insufficient capacity. IDEM only provides permit for the construction. They do not provide permission or approval to connect. This board controls who connects to your sewer system. So it was brought to the board's attention that in fact this mistake had been made and that there was an issue, and as you may recall, there was an issue by B&E Marine back in 2010, 2011, maybe before, and it's a similar problem, that when it rains hard, the sewer gets surcharged up to, at one point, we were told by staff, up to within 8 inches of overflowing. If it overflows, it's, right there at the creek, and it goes in the creek. So, everybody knows, the district went through both federal and state investigation and a consent decree and agreed orders and everything to get that problem addressed. It was addressed, but over the years, there's been additional, connections, which has now caused a problem at that manhole when it rains. So the district, the board, in the recent past, hired an engineer to design a way to reduce the inflow into that sewer by creating a diversion of what's called a US 12 sewer. So it doesn't get to that sewer, it gets cut off on the further east and will dump into the sewer main, which is over here on, basically on 8th, which will then create capacity in the sewer that Mr. Bergerson talking about. And therefore, we can proceed not only with his, there have not been any approved applications since that occurred. Since it became known that there had been a mistake in granting that capacity certification, there have not been any approved connections to that sewer. There are some pending, in addition to Mike's, but they are not, there can be no more connection, not even inside the city. There are some proposed developments, residential, to the, as you call it, the northeast of there, that, really can't hook up or be approved to hook up until such time as this diversion, I'll call it the diversion project, now, if you need more detail, I can provide it, but is completed, which should be before the end of the year. Anyway, that's the district, the board, upon finding out about this problem, took action, hired an engineer to design it, the solution, and it's in the process of being designed. And as soon as it gets designed, it'll be left, the board will, approve the design, approve it being let to bid, and then there'll be bids, and then, we'll go through the contracting process, and the result will be done. In the meantime, there just cannot be any connections to that sewer without risking a sanitary sewer overflow.
So
My
we're
response
working on it.
generally, I get that, and I appreciate that too. It just seems that when I drive down Washington Park Boulevard, for instance, and there were 10 new lots that were being developed and are being developed by Beachwalk. Last summer, right after our project was approved by the city council, et cetera, pretty obvious to see that there were 10 new lots being developed, which have now sewer. Those lots, residents haven't been built on them, but they're all plumbed out to get individual connections for that particular development. It's hard for me to believe that in this city that nothing can take place on the north end of this town at this point, and that no permits are being issued for either residential or we just had a commercial establishment on Highway 12, Burnham Brewing, also just opened up, and others along the way. It's just hard for me to believe that 4 homes that are, 5 homes, one of which is being 100% occupied, but 4 that are really just vacation homes would create such an issue that in, 14 years since 2010, when there may have been an overflow, that this would create this kind of a problem for the sanitary district not to approve 4 homes in the effluent from them on the off chance that there might be a heavy rain, and we've had heavy rains here, that they would cause some type of overflow or discharge into Trail Creek, which nobody wants, of course. Nobody wants that. But 5 homes? Are you kidding?
Point in fact, though, Mike, that those other things that you just mentioned are within the city of Michigan City. You're talking going outside our district. Homes that are not in the city of Michigan.
Is a regional sewer facility with federal funds. That was built with federal money and designed to take in not only parts of or all of Long Beach, Trail Creek, Potawatomi Park, areas outside the city, on the south end of the city as well. So the fact that these homes are in Long Beach, I understand that number one, they're going to pay a higher rate for the effluent being pumped into the system. I think at a rate of 50% above what.
No, it cannot be over 15%.
Whatever, it is a higher rate.
Yes.
It is a higher rate. So that's the long and the short of it. It's not because, I hope it's not because they're from Long Beach. Let's hope that they're not, I hope that that decision was not made because they're from Long
Well, the
Beach.
properties you mentioned are all in the city that we had to hook up. That's what the properties,
I don't believe any of
Turner
those
Brewery or what have you.
developments are connected or will be connected until this diversion is created.
Takes place there.
Whether it's in the city, out of the city, new. Now, I don't know if I don't know of any of these, but if there's one where there's an existing building with an existing sewer
Yeah,
tap.
Burnham Brewery is a good example.
And they
It's
are
a building
just
out of sewer.
substituting, then you already have the use of that capacity calculated in theory into your system. So that would be permissible.
The other point, we had to get an extension because our permit was going to expire in 60 days, in June, from IDEM, having approved our application last June, based on the certifications made by the district, the resolutions adopted by the common council. So this week, we had to, because there was a 60-day window between the time it expires and before we get an extension, we had to apply for an extension. We did apply, did get the extension, so that's a good, that's some good news, that we're still in the ballgame.
This board is working on the solution.
I know you are. I said, bring it up, I have to keep pushing.
I mean, you heard the veterinarian back there behind you telling you the problems he's got within the city that we're working on. So,
Hard to believe.
yeah, it is. So we're working on these situations. We're ticking them off one by one as we can, and we're working on this one right now.
And
as well as
the other thing
directions.
would be our application. I realize it's under review. Are we going to continue it to be under review for some period of time?
Mike, let's have a discussion. You can talk with Mike Milanovich and that tomorrow or something. Give him a call and find out where we're at then, okay? Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is, let me get back to it. Opening of quotes, bids, or proposals. The masonry repairs of the laboratory building.
Ask if there's anybody who wants to submit a
We do that. Are there any other proposals out there for this this work at the lab? Any other proposals? Having none? Okay, Mike, you're on.
Okay.
Thank you.
First one is from Gary Construction. So,
Yeah.
Safety first.
that's right.
Now watch out, there may be a
There you go.
flash drive in there. No, there.
Did you say Gary?
Gary,
The first bid is from Gary Up Construction Company Incorporated in Gary, Indiana. And their total bid, total bid is $497,500 even. 497,500.
And there's a drive on the back there.
Correct.
So,
Somebody over here wants.
there you go. Okay.
Just open all of them.
Larson Danielson.
Drive.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll try that.
Bid is from Larson Danielson Construction Company Incorporated, LaPorte, Indiana. And its total bid is $306,408 even. 306,408.
Lowest responsible person.
Yeah.
We have like the staff review the bids.
The next bid is from Corellis Roofing, Inc., Incorporated, Michigan City, Hammond, Indiana, and their total bid is $438,759.42. 438,759.42. Next bid is from Slatiel Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Incorporated, South Bend, Indiana. Total bid is $372,232 even. 372,232.
No, that's a new one. No. Sorry.
The next bid is from Berglund Construction Company, Chicago, Illinois. Total amount of $468,000 even, 468,000. The next bid is from Zielkowski Construction Incorporated, South Bend, Indiana, in the total amount of $618,027 even, 618,027. The next bid is from Bully and Andrews Masonry Restoration LLC, Chicago, Illinois. Total bid is in the amount of $591,058 even, 591,058. That's all of the bids. I'd recommend the board refer them to staff and engineer for review and recommendation to the board at its next meeting.
Do I need a motion? Okay, second for that? Second. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mike, please have the staff review these things and get us back a recommendation at the next meeting.
Yeah. Well, if it's May 2nd, I don't know. There should be.
Hurry up, yeah.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
May 2nd?
Get a recommendation back to us.
Will that be enough time, Mr. Sanford?
May 22nd. May 22nd.
So May
May 2nd.
2nd is our next special meeting.
Board meets May 2nd.
May 2nd or May 22nd?
Second, if we can do it, if we can evaluate them on time.
Yeah, if you guys can't get through it by then it'll be the 22nd.
Then you report back.
All right. Safety.
Start with the low bid, if it meets all the documents. all the
Then you're done.
We're done. Right. We should be able to do that.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Mr. Babcock, welcome.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you all as we improve our safety culture. And we've done quite a good job here with the board and with everyone in the sanitary district, improving our safety culture. And I thank the previous members and the ones that are here today, and look forward to working with the new members. When I come in to deliver my report, what I cover is basically the summary of injuries. And so with the refuse department, we had one recordable injury during the month of March. And this information, by the way, is in your packet. Sorry. My apologies, I should have mentioned that. There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, it's 11 font, so it's kind of small.
11.
Yeah.
It's made by the words of that.
Yeah, trying to save paper. So, taking a look at refuse department, we did have one reportable injury in March, but that's the first one since November 24th of 2023. And then in water reclamation, we had one in February, and that was the first one since November of 2023. Typo there. And so, as we look down through here, what I do is I list the injuries, and I briefly describe the incident. Then I look at factors contributing to the incident, and then measures we take to prevent recurrence. And we do that after each incident with participation by the employees that may have been involved in the incident. One I want to pay particular attention to is the one that occurred in water reclamation, and that's where the employee had a manhole cover that fell on his foot and caused a serious contusion, and he was on temporary work assignment for 22 days. And then in next month, I'll report that in April, we had a refuse department employee that was doing the spring cleanups and everything. And as a result of doing that cleanup, picking up some furniture, and since the furniture is out on the curb, it's in bad condition. So he picked up the piece of furniture, did that safely, and the daggone furniture fell apart. And so it struck his foot, broke his small toe, and he was on restricted work activity. That was that will be a reportable injury on next month's report. So I bring those two injuries up in that we've always had a strong recommendation that employees wear safety shoes. The employee who in the refuse department that was injured had on a very nice work boot, but it didn't have a steel toe, didn't have a safety cap, and that's how come he suffered that injury. And so Mr. Milatovich asked me to take a look at the safety shoe program, and the safety shoe program, and the way OSHA works is, as you know, is that if we require protective equipment, then we have to provide that protective equipment. And so we what we're proposing is that we have a number of jobs in sanitary district, and that's on page 4 of the program here, that require, through our risk assessment, that they have safety shoe or safety toe protection. And so page 4, it looks something like this. It's the chart. And what I've done, I've broken it down by department and also the refuse department. So all this, whenever someone goes in and purchases safety equipment like this, they've been provided a clothing allowance since, I believe, 2007. And there may be some board members that remember that from the past. But it was at $500 at that time, for what I understand, and it hasn't been increased since that time. So we're going on approximately 17 years without an increase. And so what we're looking at is that we'll bring in a shoe mobile service through Cintas. They'll provide quality shoe wear that have safety toe shoes. Many of the products are manufactured in the U.S., which is good. A couple of them even in a union shop. And I happen to be wearing a pair of those now. It's an outstanding pair of shoes. So they aren't cheap, though. Nowadays, as we all know, that safety shoes can be somewhat expensive. What we're proposing is that we increase the allowance by $260. Now, how in the world did I come up with that $260? Cintas has their catalog, and the most expensive shoe that they offer is $255. The pair I have on now costs about $225. And so what we're proposing is that we have an increase to our clothing allowance by $260 for a total of $760. And that's what I'm asking for approval for tonight from the board. And you may ask, and I know I asked, and what is this going to cost? So
That's
taking
my next question.
Yeah, and I have the answer.
Can I ask though real quickly to interject? Don't we have to, with that kind of monies, don't we have to have somebody besides Cintas give us a proposal? Somebody besides that one company give us a proposal?
So there's a quote.
No, this is, what this is, safety shoe. We're increasing the allowance by that amount.
Right.
And we have a safety shoe company that's coming in.
They don't have to buy from them.
Right, if an employee wanted to go out and purchase from Walmart,
Oh, I see.
they can do that.
This is just coming to the, NDOT
Yeah,
does
This
the
is
same
just
thing.
providing.
This is providing a
I thought
service.
initially they were going to, we just buy them all from them
No.
initially, and then secondary.
Well, yeah, they could purchase from another person, another vendor. But primarily, we would like for them to purchase from Cintas because it's a quality shoe, quality product. Many of them made in America, so that's a reason why. Very convenient, but they don't have to.
Maybe to make clear, the money's not used unless they actually spend it.
Right.
Exactly. The district doesn't just give them cash and say, come back.
Thank you. So, the way that works is if I only need one pair of shoes and I spend $200 and there's $60 headroom, so to speak. I didn't spend the $260 for that. So if we look at water reclamation, I have it divided up in operations and taking a look at all those: information technology, maintenance, management, GIS, engineering. All that came out to $11,180 for 43 employees. With the refuse department, 24 employees, comes out to $6,240 for a total of $17,420. That's what we're asking for as an increase to the clothing allowance.
That's if everybody spends $260
If they
on
spend
it.
that.
Every employee.
That's what I call the maximum. Yeah, the maximum amount. Now, what happens if they what happens if Dan McCoy says, okay, I want to purchase 2 pair of shoes, and I purchase a pair for $250, and I purchase another pair for $150. And with Cintas, they have it so that Dan McCoy is going to have to pay anything over that $260, going to have to pay for it with his personal credit card. So it's totally separate out of the system. So that's kind of neat right there.
Is there a policy that goes with it then, so hand in hand?
Yeah, we have a 3-page policy that goes with it. The states, the type of shoe that's required, and that's another thing about Cintas. They are only going to have on the shoemobile shoes that are on the list.
I mean, does it follow our policy?
Oh, yes.
You must wear them.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yes. They will be required to wear them. Yeah. And when they're out on the job, not in a break room.
Either today or at the next board meeting, the board should consider approving this footwear program, which is the essentially the written policy of the book of the district for these protective shoes.
Right. Thank you. So that's my request tonight, is that we approve this. It's definitely needed. We need to get this implemented before we have some people that have injured toes again. So, go ahead.
So, let me ask just a more general question.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
Mr.
so
Babcock.
employee isn't wearing the shoes, had them available to them, and gets hurt, what happens?
Well, first of all, we let that person, certainly make sure that person gets treated, medical treatment, but then that individual has a consequence to pay for not following the safety rules through the disciplinary program,
Okay,
through our disciplinary policy.
thank you. Well, I'd just like to see accountability for management and the employee. Sure.
Definitely, yeah. There has to be accountability.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I'll just say, I've worked with Cintas before, and they're a very reputable company. And I think, just with your presentation today, it's just shown the importance
Oh, yeah,
and of having something like this, because it can only get worse.
that's true. That's true.
Thank you.
And I will say, coming from INDOT had almost the exactly same program where they had a boot truck come to the different districts and that as well. And you could go buy your boots anywhere. If you wanted to buy more expensive boots, the limit was $250 at INDOT. So yeah, I like the program. So it's maybe
I'll make a motion.
motion to approve the safety protective footwear program.
Very much so. So moved.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there-
plus the increase of the safety line
The increase of the clothing allowance
clothing allowance by
by
$260.
$260.
Additionally, add that.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. There you go.
Thank you, and all the
Can I
employees
ask a
here,
question?
we're very thankful.
Yeah, I just have a question about the 2 accidents. So the requirement is to wear work boots, correct? All right. What kind of shoes were they wearing when they did get injured? Were they wearing work boots or were they wearing gym shoes? What were they wearing?
In both cases, they were wearing a boot, a shoe, not gym shoes, but it wasn't steel toe. It wasn't a safety cap.
Right.
It's a shoe like that, only it didn't have a safety
It was a
cap.
work boot.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Because I've seen some city employees wearing gym shoes, and I've had this discussion before with the board, and they told me, well, hey, there's gym shoes with steel toes in them, so just asking a question.
Now we have the steel toe policy for everything, so.
As a district employee, that's never been addressed in the handbook. The workwear has always been what the district employee wanted to wear. It's never been addressed that you have to wear a safety shoe, never been addressed, I'm just saying, in the handbook, you're gonna have to address this in the handbook to make it, to stick, basically.
That's what we just did.
Yeah, I'm just saying, is that it's never been addressed in the handbook before, so you're gonna have to make modifications to the handbook.
That's what this is.
Yeah. Kevin's exactly right. It's always been a strong recommendation, but never required.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have
All right,
today.
thank you very much.
If you have any questions, just give me a call, please.
Thank you.
All right,
Report.
Yeah.
Karen, financial report. Welcome.
Okay, so this is this month's bank balances. So for the sanitary operating fund, we have $1,271,931.39. In the sanitary district tax levy, we have $1,721,689.26. In the Indian Springs and Whippoorwill bank account, we have $5,959.52. And in the Carwick remediation fund, we have $220,923.16. And in the bond and interest account, we have $100,074.43. In the debt service reserve account, we have $537,497.90. And our city controller is here tonight. Mary Lynn wants to give you guys some updates on things. So.
Can I just ask what's the big difference between last month and this month in the district tax levy funds? Why such a tremendous from $2,877 to $1,721,000?
Yeah, that, I don't have an actual answer for you at this moment. I can give it to you after I review it.
Yeah, if you get back
in
to
the
us
next
with
day or
it.
two.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Lynn Wall. I'm the city controller. I know in the past, and for the new board members, there were issues with bank reconciliations. Karen just gave you the actual bank balance. I went through and started in June, and you have a large number of bank accounts. This what I reconciled is your main bank account, which is the 6007, which includes all your 6201, which is the operating fund, and it also has your improvement fund, your vehicle replacement, equipment replacement. All these other funds make up into what would be considered your operating checking account. This was unfortunately not reconciled for a long period of time. I started in June, worked diligently, and I have it reconciled to December. What I found.
Two or through December? 12/31?
Through December. I started in June, I reconciled July, reconciled August.
No, I understand. You said to December, which was
I'm sorry. Yes, including December 31st. Yep. Yes. So, and I have identified all the adjustments that need to be made to last year in order to reconcile this bank account. Which I was working on, haven't quite, I was hoping I would have a lot of these posted so that I could give you an update on the actual, because I think you would be presented with actual fund balances, and that we'd like to get back to that point. So unfortunately, I can't give you the fund balances, because these 30 transactions need to be posted. So by your next meeting, we should have it, and possibly, I'm not going to guarantee, but possibly going forward into 2024. That's my hope. The big issue right now, which I needed to get this done because we did file our annual report with the State Board of Accounts. At the time, I knew that the sanitary district was not fully reconciled, but we did file. I wanted to file on time, so we filed with knowing, and this is what's happening now, knowing that I can make changes to the annual report, giving the State Board of Accounts notice. which I'm going to have to. The numbers we filed for the sanitary district were incorrect for 2023. I have already been notified from the State Board of Accounts that they are going to begin our audit shortly. I wanted to be able to tell them that I have identified all the transactions, so I'm going to be sending them an email tomorrow, explaining to them the situation, that I'm going to be making all these adjustments. Probably going to need some time to figure out. And the next step is I've got to go into the actual annual financial report out there in Gateway and make these changes. The other thing that I might have to ask, and I'm not sure if Mike, because I know at the time, we had a consultant come in that was working on entering the items in the Gateway with Scott, the previous accountant.
Yeah.
I don't know where those, and I talked to Karen, and we may need some help. I don't know whether I need to contact Damon, the man from SEH. I don't know where those work papers are. Because I am going to need to now adjust Gateway, but I'm not sure how they put those numbers together, because when the State Board of Accounts comes, they want to see the work papers. So I'm not sure where those work papers are, or whether we start from scratch. So that's where we're at right now. Like I said, I will be contacting the State Board of Accounts whether or not they're going to allow me a little bit extra time in order to get the financial report. At the time, I think we had a cash balance for the 6201, which would be operating, was like about 572,000 is what the ledger says right now. We reported in Gateway 542,000. I'm estimating that at least 200,000 is going to come out of that account, out of that fund, based on my reconciliation items. So. But I'll know more by the next meeting, and I'll know more for my own for State Board of Accounts and for our accounting within the next week. I should have, well, by the end of this week, I should know what the actual numbers are for 12/31/2023. Then I have to change them in Gateway. Just give me an update, but I really do need to maybe reach out to Damon.
Yeah.
And find out what information he might have to help me with this process.
Okay.
But at least we're reconciled up to December 31st.
So could I ask quickly, I'm sorry, so was Damon reporting his work product to you, or to Mike, or to whom?
Probably to Scott at the time.
Yes.
I mean, since Scott has left, there's been about a month and a half or so.
I don't know, it's probably just, I know Damon was, when he did actually send to me his bank reconciliation, but it really, unfortunately, I think for any consultant that would come in, if you don't understand the ins and outs of our ledger, it's like next to impossible to do a bank reconciliation, to be honest with you. How our payroll works, how our accounts payable works. I think Kieran could agree with that. To have somebody come in and just basically, this was his bank reconciliation, which I did anything Kieran couldn't do anything with. So I started from scratch. So I went back to June and walked through all the bank reconciliations. So because if you don't understand the software,
It's Russian to Klingon.
yeah. So that's what was needed. So it took some time, but at least I feel much better that I came down to, I reconciled the number.
Yeah.
Which we weren't to that point before. So.
Quick question, if I may. On the bond and interest account, is that kind of a savings account?
I believe so. I believe it's just
It's an
the
account
attorney
that
mayor might
accrues the
know.
bond and interest.
Yes.
So that at the time the payment is due, you have the money. It's transferred, there's transfers into it.
I was gonna say, there's quite a bit of variation in it, is what I was just asking.
Right, because once the bond payment goes out of there as well, so then it
I got
goes,
you. Thank you.
then it goes way back down and then you build
Way
it.
back up over time. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have to go.
All right.
Yes. I hate to leave. I just had some previous commitment before I knew I was gonna be at this meeting, so. Very much looking forward to working with all of you, and I appreciate everybody turning out. It's obviously important. I'm used to the term stuff, so anyway.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Thanks.
Thanks, Don. Oh, gosh. That's my card.
Okay.
There's your email at the bottom. When you have time,
Yeah,
email me one so I have your contact.
Gotcha.
Next item, update on projects. Steve?
Something.
All right, Commissioners, the first update on projects that I have for you relates to the industrial pretreatment program. You probably all understand exactly what that is and how it works, but for the benefit of everybody else, the industrial pretreatment program is a set of laws and regulations that set forth a framework for us to work in to protect our water treatment plant and our sewage collection plant from industrial dischargers. And an industrial discharge is essentially any wastewater that's not like the wastewater that you generate at home, taking a shower or washing dishes or flushing the toilet. So we have a couple of industries, metal finishers, one plater, one that's actually sort of been out of business for the last 2 years, but they've kept their permit going. And we have one small closed landfill, which is the Waste Inc. landfill on Trail Creek, which is actually owned by the city of Michigan City. The responsible parties are taking care of it. They're the caretakers, and they maintain a leachate collection system.
Responsible parties are the previous owners
And
operators
of the landfill.
Which is now owned by Michigan City.
Now, with that being said, the state audits our program from time to time, up until last month, or earlier this month. The last audit was in 2018, and I was fairly new to it. We had a number of minor deficiencies in 2018. One of the things I'll point out is that the auditor at that time identified some deficiencies in the standardized boilerplate language in our permits that we issue to the industries. And this year in 2023, the auditor says that Michigan City has a very good pre-treatment program with minor deficiencies observed. And again, these deficiencies that were observed all relate to the standardized boilerplate language in our permit documents. The first being language to handle, specifically address the transfer of ownership for an industry. The second is to have a provision to extend permit record retention in the event that we, the IDEM or the EPA, ask the permittee to do so. Okay, that's not in the standard language presently. And then lastly, we have a set of standards which is called local limits that are written into the Michigan City Sewer Use Ordinance. They're designed to protect the collection system and the plant from bypasses and pass-through, or upsets and pass-through.
But they're also designed to protect the creek. The levels at which we are allowed to discharge and not violate the contaminant levels for the creek.
Right.
And so our intake has to be treated ahead, if necessary, so that we do not violate the limits in our permit.
Correct, so just a quick question, excuse my ignorance, but so a boilerplate means we're using a document that is just used by everybody and not reviewed by Jim? Is that kind of what that means, or?
They are reviewed by...
There's a template, in fact, based on EPA's template, and IDEM, everything rolls down from EPA to IDEM to us.
Okay.
And periodically, there are changes that are recommended by that EPA originally and then IDEM and then down to us. Typically, they refer to a modification to the form that they previously told us to use.
Okay.
And I'm assuming, I don't know, because I haven't tracked it, but these may be modifications. These are very technical, modifications that you just add the wording to their permit. It comes up almost, I've never seen an audit in 40-some years in various clients I've represented that there's not some audit finding saying that some wording needs to be changed, because nobody really keeps up on a day-to-day basis, and the IDEM does not issue appropriate, what I would call notices, that the language change is required. but typically they're very, they don't really have any impact on the treatment of the sewage that's coming to our plant, which is the big purpose of the pretreatment, is to be able to monitor and control the level of contamination in the discharge to our system, so that we in turn meet the permit limits in our discharge to the creek.
So basically what it was is any changes since 2018 in IDEM or EPA's policies that they've changed since 2018, or they weren't caught on our boilerplate back in 2018 even.
Right.
That's correct.
That's really what it
Right.
amounts to.
Yeah, these were not in the 2018 audit report.
Right.
Well, the two things I'll point out is I spent 2 days preparing for the audit. I had to prepare a thick submittal to the auditor, and the auditor spent a day and a half on site. I will say this about the auditor: she's very good at her job, and I'm looking forward to continue to work with her.
Right. From 2018, she's not the same.
Much of her prior experience was in drinking water.
I was going to say, there's probably a new person at IDEM. Yeah.
I think she's doing a really good job. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with her. So the remedy here is going to be for me to take the 5 existing permits and adjust the language and then reissue them.
And you'll have that done when? Putting them under pressure.
Well before 30 days from April 19th, which is when it's
30 days.
Our response is due.
Right.
All right.
See, I could drag this out and say, okay, our plan is to reissue all the permits with this new language within 30 days. Or I can just have it done and say, this was our plan. This was our plan, and now it's done.
I recommend you do it. Okay. Don't drag it.
In reference to the pretreatment, there's another thing that we need to do is to update what's called our sewer use ordinance. And again, this is a periodic recommended requirement based on things coming out of EPA, which go to IDEM, which come to us. And we'll be working on, Steve and I, to update the ordinance. Now in Michigan City, it's actually in the municipal code. It's not broken out as a separate ordinance. But so we'll be amending code sections. But I'm just letting you know in advance that that is being done, and it won't have any practical effect because they're mostly language changes. And Michigan City doesn't have, as Steve pointed out, big industrial dischargers, or a lot of them anyway, and not the old nasty ones.
Very well involved the council.
Yes, at some point the city council will have to approve the new sewer, the amended sewer use ordinance.
All right. Thank you.
All right, my next item is maintenance of the Michigan Boulevard drain infrastructure. This is the stormwater absorbing the beds and raised beds in the center line of the road. The sanitary district, since approximately 2012, has undertaken that task on behalf of the city each year. And discussing with the mayor wanted for us to continue that practice. And so I prepared this a service agreement with ServiceScape to continue that service. They've been our contractor for the last, since I've been here, which is a little over 6 years ago. And the cost for the season is $61,000. The way that will cash flow is probably about less than $10,000 the first month. And it will be sort of evenly split through the season. And the final bill will be in November. And that one will have the fall cleanup and so forth. So it would probably be a little bigger than the middle bills, but at least in terms of cash flow, it's not bad because it doesn't all hit at once.
It's paid out of the stormwater fund.
Yes.
On the tax-based fund.
And it's not to exceed 61,000.
Right.
Yeah.
In increments.
Right.
Can you tell me what that includes? Is it just the median? Is it just that, or is it the sides of the roads also the medians?
There
grass areas on the sides of the trees.
There is a bit of service with the weed suppression in the tree lawns along sides of the road.
Okay, but no trimming of those trees or just the weeds? Or mowing, I'm not sure, I'm just sure what Vector's responsibility are and what the city, what ours, or Lake Putnam's responsibility is.
Right. Let's see here specifically.
I just noticed all those the tree lines are like a lot of, for lack of a better term, sucker branches all over the place, and I was wondering why those aren't really kind of taken care of on the greenways on both sides.
That's gonna have to be a team effort between Vector and Sanitary District. We've trimmed those trees more than once on our own.
It's not part of this contract.
It's not part of that, okay.
Okay, now
I
this
didn't
is
know if they were
just
doing
weeds
that
or
or.
grass and spraying and taking care, and flowers and taking
Installation
care
of
of
flowers.
insects and fertilizer and, that kind of lawn care.
I will have Mike Wolf, our forester, contact Clay Putnam at Servicegate and see if they can work something out to address those trees.
Awesome, thank you.
I'd like to ask the board's approval to execute this agreement with Servicegate in the amount of not to exceed $61,000 for the 2024 season.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, next item is the belt filter press building roof, which is, Kevin, how many years old is that now?
It was built in 1994.
The roof is original?
The roof is original, it's got rubber membrane with a rock ballast on the top. It's pulled away from the sides. The roof has several leaks inside of it. One of the leaks is really concerning because it's coming down right on top of the motor control center inside that belt press building, which makes a serious safety concern for the belt press operator, plus the operation of the treatment plant. If we don't act on this thing here, we could actually lose our belt filter press as part of our process and violate our IDEM permit.
That being said, I'd like to advise the board that we have, as a sanitary district, been moving from the old style roofs to the Duralast membranes, Kevin?
Correct. It's a PVC membrane, a synthetic membrane that we've done on several roofs. We've sole sourced the roof, so we don't have to do bids. It's like Solar equipment. You can only have a distributor that does it in certain areas. The contractor that we have is for our area, and sole source is the only way we can do it because they have this territory.
Kevin, when was the last one we did?
Last one was done in 2017, and R&L Roofing at that time had that contract, but they failed to meet the inspector's qualifications, and they were disqualified.
They lost their
doing that anymore. So now Bontrager is the actual representative for us. The last roof that they did was over at the Lebesnick Center, so that this is their territory. And in order to do this membrane and continue doing the membrane, it comes with an ironclad 15-year warranty. I mean, once it's inspected, if the roof is ironclad, no matter what happens to the roof in 15 years, it is repaired into their standards.
And Jim, we can move forward with this.
Yes, I recommend you do, based on the fact that the city uses this roof, and it's kind of like the fleet concept with vehicles, except in this case it's applied to roof. Plus, they're the only entity in the area from which you can acquire it. So,
what motion do we need?
This motion to approve the special purchase. I don't know if you have this document. Special purchase of the.
It should be in your packet, sir. It's right there on top.
$34,386.
Yes, sir.
Right. Of the new purchase of the new roof for the which building is it?
The belt filter press.
Belt filter press building for an amount not to exceed $34,386 from Bontrager Incorporated.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Kevin.
The next item I've got on here, and I'm kind of maybe jumping the gun on this one a little bit because I'm going to make a suggestion. But the Wonderware software is this SCADA system that we use to monitor the entire wastewater treatment plant. In the control room at the wastewater treatment plant, we've got a massive 75 or 90-inch television that has every aspect of the operation in real time, and their software runs that for us. It also gives us remote access. I can pull it up on my computer from home to see what the plant's doing, the condition of the flows, whether we've got a problem or not. And this is an annual software subscription, and their cost for the next year would be $27,183.00. Our current, what I was going to suggest though is that our current subscription doesn't expire until the end of June 30th. And so, depending on the board's pleasure, this, in my opinion, could be tabled until the May meeting.
Yeah, I think we'll like to have a motion to table this item.
Make a motion to table?
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
To the next board
To
meeting.
the next board meeting, which would be the
By the way, it's May 2nd.
May 2nd, yeah.
No, it's May 2nd.
Yeah.
The special,
You want
there'll
us
also
to
be the
make
meeting.
table it to the 22nd?
Right, I had May 22nd in mind
Okay.
personally.
Can I have a modification to the motion in the second for the May 22nd meeting?
I'll modify the motion for May 22nd.
Modify my second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. There you go. A little more breathing room for you, Steve.
Okay, my next item is Trail Creek Week funding. This is a week-long event that's put on as kind of a team effort between the Sanitary District and the Parks Department. Dozens, hundreds, I think, school children come to the Hanson Park during the week. And they get to enjoy presentations from experts on things like wildlife and habitat and water quality. And it's for us, the Sanitary District in our stormwater permit, we're required to conduct public outreach and education every year. And for us, this strikes me as a huge bargain. We're getting a lot for our money by joining again with the Parks Department at a cost of $5,000 from the Sanitary District to maintain this in 2024. And so what I would like is the board's approval to provide the Parks Department a check for $5,000 to fund Trail Creek Week in 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There you go. So, just to go back on that just a second, I see that the Port County Stormwater Conservation District is not going to be part of it anymore.
Yeah, we're pulling out.
And the Trail Creek Watershed Partnership seems to be picking up their end of it. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Just a cautionary note, later this summer I may ask for $1,000 for a boat so we can hang on to that trophy.
I might give you $500 to get that thing out of here.
I'll assist.
That could be a race. Between the two of you, just help on top of each other. May not be able to get to the top of it.
Next item, Steve.
The next item is again a stormwater education and outreach. This is something we've done for quite a few years now, which is to provide funding. We split funding typically with the city of Hammond.
Yes.
To bring the W.G. Jackson research vessel down from Milwaukee. It's from Milwaukee.
Muskegon or
Muskegon, I believe.
Yes. And they'll spend a week down here, half of the week in Michigan City, another half in Hammond. And this is an educational event because the boat is staffed by scientists and ecologists, and again, it's a shout out to the whole public to bring their family and enjoy some time on the lake and learn some things. In this case, about the water quality in Lake Michigan. And in the last year's expense for this was $16,086, Mike.
Yeah.
And I guess what I would like to ask for is a commitment from the board to similarly fund this effort again this year. And Mike, I understand there's some urgency in the timing of.
Well, they need a commitment so that they can make arrangements with the Grand Valley University, who is the sponsor of this endeavor.
They provide the experts.
Yes, and the boat.
And the boat.
I just wanted to mention, that this normally entails 3 sales during the course of a day, and it usually are here for 3 days. So the sales are approximately an hour or so in length, where they go out a certain distance into the lake and then take samples, and they have a actual operating laboratory and engage some of the participants in performing some relatively simple analytical procedures to give them an idea of the quality of the water. So it's very interesting, and it's educational, and it's part of our outreach program.
And we put a person on each sailing to represent the sanitary district. John, do you remember the capacity on that boat for just going to have passengers?
I believe it was 28.
28?
28 or 30. I think we, over the course of the 9 cruises, I think we averaged 28 people, but I think the capacity was 30.
So there's nearly 900 opportunities for nearly 900 Michigan City residents to do this.
Last year was 16,086. She said, do we need to give a limit on what we do, or just say not to exceed?
Well, at some point,
something?
you receive that you're willing to fund it, so that they know you're willing to fund it. They'll provide you with an actual document.
Right.
It's like
and we can approve it.
a contract, and you can get the final amount at that time. I'd be surprised if it didn't go up some.
I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a very good educational program, and as Steve mentioned, our permit from IDEM requires us to provide public education to the public.
What's our funding source for this? What?
The stormwater.
Stormwater. Okay. Should we put a limited amount on it at this point, or just?
I can't imagine it'd be more than 20 grand.
Yeah, that would be a good suggested amount, not to exceed.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve W.G. Jackson's funding in the amount of not to exceed $20,000 for this outreach?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So move forward with it, please, Steve. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we certainly won't tell them that it's 20 on the top of that.
No.
All right, the last item, 9G, that I have on here would be an extension of FML leave request for a particular employee, and I'll...
Right, this is the matter we discussed in executive session, so the board needs to vote on whether or not to extend the FMLA for that employee for until June 3rd or June 5th of 2024.
Do I have a motion to extend the leave?
A motion to deny the extension.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion to deny and a second. All those in favor of denial, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, denied.
Michael, you will notify the employee.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will.
All right, Next item on our agenda is a revision to the Sanitary District's Employee Policies Handbook. We talked about this in executive session as well. We have a copy of the policy. Where did my copy go?
I did not have access to that when I prepared the board books.
We all received the policy and procedure manual updates, and we had some additions to this, I think, in our comments. And I believe, Chris, you have some updates to that. Do we need to just do we need to read those modifications to this?
I mean, it's up to you. You can if you want, or you can just say that the modifications as shown in the, whatever you want to call this, the amendments in the document entitled Policy and Procedure Manual, April 28th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a motion as Jim just stated?
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
With the track changes, I think maybe reading section B out loud would be more sufficient. That's my recommendation.
We have the edits.
I do.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Please do.
Okay. So under 3.5 of the overtime compensatory time, under section B, it will read as follows. When operating requirements of other needs cannot be met during regular working hours, employees may be scheduled to work overtime hours. When possible, advance notice of these mandatory assignments will be provided. All overtime must be received by the supervisor on duty, written authorization. Overtime assignments will be distributed in equally.
You missed the insertion of assignments.
Equally, how's that?
So before overtime assignments, there was a sentence that's added. Prior authorization is required, comma, with the exception of emergencies in the field.
Okay. Correct, okay, so, all right, after all overtime must be received by the supervisor on duty by written authorization. Prior authorization is required with exception of emergencies in the field only.
Okay.
Then it goes on to overtime must be, overtime assignments will be distributed equally and practically to all employees qualified to perform the required work. Overtime is defined as a time over 40 hours per week in a week that is non-exempt employee actually works on the job.
Okay. And I think our item E had a modification because there were some errors in the document. It should read, this section applies to professional staff. This is 3.5E, correct? Yeah.
A.
3.5A. That this section applies to professional staff identified in section 3.5A who are not eligible for overtime under the Fair Labor Standards Act. All right. Do I have a motion to approve said document with the amendments for the policy and procedure manual for overtime compensatory time? That's easy for you to say.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy is updated. Thank you. All right. Michigan City Sanitary monthly reports.
Yes, you've got, I think, 6 different monthly reports here. I would highlight the wastewater treatment plant operations report that shows in the prior month their suspended solids removal efficiency was 99.2%. We met all permit requirements for the entire month, and operations were rather normal, as they usually are. Something happens. I would call out the sanitary district engineer's report. John Borsica, he was rather busy during the month of March. We had a number of sewer failures that required urgent repairs. You'll see those written up in his report. Collections department cleaned and video inspected 3/4 of a mile of sewer. We had 0 city plugs in the month of March, which was good, because if we have more than 5 in a year, the item will rate our performance marginal on an audit or an inspection. So if it's 5 or less, it's satisfactory. So every month that we don't have one of those is a good month.
Yes.
Laboratory's quarterly report for 2014. I would mainly just point out that during the month, the laboratory in-house performed 1,800 separate analyses and reported the results for each of them. And these are the way we keep the pulse of the plant, and it's like the vital signs for the plant, and it's the way we manage it in the process and keep things in control and in compliance with the permit, and it's working rather well. We have, I think, a fantastic laboratory. Mr. Babcock left, but if you've not seen it, you might like to see
the laboratory.
We will be happy to give tours of the plant too.
I love it. I think I had one when I was here before, but I'm sure there's been changes, so I'd absolutely love to.
I think we've made some improvements.
Yeah,
Yes.
the big TV monitor with all the data and everything on it is one thing.
Pulled up at home.
No, I'd love to. We'll get together.
Number of improvements.
If I may just add, sorry, excuse me, Commissioner, just to bring up the point that April 1st marks the beginning of our disinfection season because of recreational use of the waterways. And that went off without a hitch. Also, our first of the semi-annual sampling and analysis for whole effluent toxicity was conducted, and we passed. So we have good water that's not toxic.
Very good.
Continuing the tradition of never not passing that test. We've always passed that test.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Our reputation
Thank you.
is untainted.
Very good. That's great.
And the beach sampling will begin with, I believe,
I think the first day is May 19th.
yeah,
Approximately 1 week before Memorial Day.
and that we do with the contract with the Parks Department.
Yeah, the Parks
the
Department
contract
gets the
with-
money from the state.
with
and then-
IDEM to do the sampling, and then instead of the park department doing it, they retain the district to do it because we have the lab.
Right. And so the money from the state pays for the analyses, and it pays for the labor to collect all the samples and report the results on a daily basis. So it's a break-even proposition for the sanitary district, and it provides an important service to the public.
So this is all Washington Park and Fetters Alley area?
And Sheridan Beach, all the way up to Stop 7.
All the way to Long Beach.
And now we do Long Beach as well, because they're in the sanitary district. Lakeshore Drive, anyway, thank you.
Yes.
Last item on the agenda is claims docket for to approve and allow revenue and tax levy claims for payment.
Insignificant, I guess that's why you jumped over.
Yeah, we did.
I really don't have. We talked about litigation in the in the executive session, and other than the obvious things I'm talking about, that goes on every day, I really don't have anything more to add, other than we will make sure that the amended version of the employee handbook pages regarding overtime gets into the employee handbook and disseminated to the employees. And all these other things we talked about forwarding to the board.
Yeah, and there'll be the receipt, the sign off, each employee will have to sign for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So in future agenda, I'd like the attorney's item to be larger font and bolded.
Yes, bold.
Can't skip over our attorneys.
Small. 5.
Okay. Have you had a chance to look over the claims docket?
I did.
Any questions, any comments?
No, that's me.
Do I have a motion to approve the claims docket for April 24th, 2024?
I make this a motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, claims docket passes, thank you. All right, any old business?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we receive by our next meeting a complete report from SEH, including Damon, and I'll spell his last name T-S-O-U-K-L-I-S. I can't say this. Okay, a complete report from his company to SEH, but also what he has done since January of this year to present date, his term of his employment, and what he and a gentleman named of Caleb Stanford have performed for us, and then a final bill, and see where that stands.
When you say next meeting, you mean the 22nd?
I think we'll give them the 22nd.
Correct, the 22nd, correct. Yes, please.
Scheduled meeting, yeah.
Regular meeting, regular meeting. I apologize.
It's okay.
I know we're confused on that second date, yeah.
Any other old business? Any other old business? Hearing none. New business. Mike, you forwarded this letter from LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission.
I can tell you what that is.
What is up with this, yeah?
Anybody who served on the Redevelopment Commission knows. What happens is every year, whether it's the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission or Michigan City's Redevelopment Commission, have to do an analysis, financial analysis. Of course, they have financial consultants that do it, and this, for LaPorte County, it's Sender and Company. That as to whether or not they will need all of the tax increment that is TIF money, TIF funds, that it will be getting in 2025 for redevelopment commission purposes. If there's a surplus, then they have to distribute that surplus. They notify the auditor, that's what that letter is, about whether or not there is a surplus. Generally speaking, there is not, because the redevelopment commissions can always figure out ways to spend the money. But if there were a surplus, then they would advise the auditor accordingly. And the auditor, because the TIF money is accumulated separately from, so to speak, from your, accounted for separately from your regular taxes, the auditor's office would then distribute that surplus pro rata to all of the overlaying taxing districts that are covered by that redevelopment commission. Or
including us, the sanitary district.
That's correct. The sanitary district has some small areas, and we haven't been able to get the auditor to give us a map, outside of city boundaries that are in the sanitary district on which taxes are collected. Very small, but that's why we got a copy of that letter, because the sanitary district, in theory, would get some of that distribution and be probably in the single digits, but
pocket change of that.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what that letter is about. In theory, we would get one of those from the city of Michigan City Redevelopment Commission as well. I don't know that they give one to the sanitary district, even though we're a separate taxing district. But they do send one out every year, because I've seen them, to the same extent, basically saying they have no surplus and they're going to spend all the money on redevelopment commission projects.
Thank you for that. Any other new business? Any other new business? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned, everyone. Thank you very much.